I find it kind of disconcerting. Kind of the fact that, I can never really get a hold of the book doctor or the storyologist. Like, it's always like they have my number, but I don't have theirs. It's kind of worrying. Like, why is that? Like, there's always a time when I need to get hold of them and I have this burning question and I never have to, it's like I have to always write it down. And I do. I write down a list of all these questions that I have about books and stories and why I buy so many books. And I hope that they're like, hopefully one of them will have an answer for me, but they never in. Do you know when you have those questions and you want them to be answered in that moment? You write them down and they're for another time, but that other time doesn't seem to come. And you just sat there waiting for something, and it never happens. Like I just want to speak to them, and there's never a way for me to speak to them, for me to get hold of them. I don't know. What's the point of them sometimes? I just feel if they can only get hold of me, then what even is the point of any of this? I just want to hang on. Is that my phone? What is this? Hello? It's the book doctor. Right. No, of course. I was just. How did you. Look, I'm not even going to question that. You always seem to know these things. So, right, I was just wondering. You were wondering how the adopted books were doing. I mean, fine. I didn't think the books that I adopted were anything to do with your remit. Like, what? You were worried because you're a book doctor. Yeah, no, I thought so, but like, I mean, if I had adopted the books from you, maybe there would be a valid reason for this phone call, but like, other than that, like, there's no reason for you to. Yeah, well, I haven't bought any new. Okay, maybe in the past week I have bought a few new books, but it's just, books do this thing to me. I pick up the cover, I read a line, I read the blurb, I read a description, a review, have a recommendation. I can't describe it. It's just I see a book and I get drawn to it. Okay, yeah, all right, but the books are fine. I'm fine. You didn't call about me. You called about the books. I gathered that, but okay. Right, so can I just, while I have you, I have this question. I've Googled it, I've looked it up, I've had a look at definitions, and I'm still stuck. I haven't got an answer to my question. I just want to know, what is a book? That's not for you. Right. So who do I... Narrative affairs. Right. And they deal with all of this kind of stuff, like the questions, the big questions, and... All right, so how do I get hold of them via a video? What, so they don't have any kind of email board, no number I can use to get hold of them? Like, is there a number for you? There's no number. I just wait to be contacted. I don't wait to be contacted. You guys just call and then there's an appointment. You're better than the NHS. Could you imagine? Yeah, no, sorry. It was a joke. I didn't mean to diss the NHS. I wasn't trying to diss the NHS. I was just saying, like, if only the appointments worked like that in the NHS, it would be kind of cool, right? But no, of course. So narrative affairs, and I get hold of them via a video. But how do I submit this video? Not an email. YouTube? That's silly. How are they even gonna see it? They see everything. No, of course. So how would they? What do you mean they're investigating why stories matter? That was all right. I'm not even gonna ask too many more questions. So I just submit my video and pose my question, my argument, and upload the video, and then they'll see it. Right. Okay, so hello? Hello? Book Doctor, you... I'm looking at my phone, but that was just a bit of acting. The Book Doctor had gone from the first time I looked, to be honest. He hung up on me. But, okay. So, you're saying, the Book Doctor's saying I need to submit this video. Okay, so, all right, let's go. This is my submission to Narrative Affairs. This is my Narrative Affairs query, Narrative Affairs public query submission. Case number NA 007 24/7. Subject: what is a book? So, where do I even start with this? I realized, as I was saying before to the Book Doctor on the phone, like I had this question. It randomly came to me. I started wondering, what is a book? I've done all these videos talking about books, and I constantly find myself saying out loud that a book is not just the cover and the pages within it. It's more than that. And I truly believe it. It's like, a book, what is it? So like I said, I looked it up. I did a search. I tried to find the definition. And the definition I got back was, a book is pages written or printed and bound together. And I came away like, all right, cool. So I've got this definition, but I still don't know what a book is. Like, I know that most things, when you define them, you understand what they are. But a book is one of those things where, yeah, okay, a book technically is pages bound together, written on or printed on. But again, it doesn't really tell me what a book is, which led me down this rabbit hole. I started, actually it started when I was editing my last video. I was looking at, because often I get like the names of the books and the authors, and I put it up on the, or it's usually on this side, I put it up on the screen. And when I'm doing my research to find these book titles, I see on Google, and sometimes it says book, sometimes it says novel. And it got me thinking, like, what's a book and what's a novel? I think this is where the question first started. Like, when I was questioning what a book is, I was thinking, what is a novel? So then I started doing some research, and I kind of noticed the craziest thing, that while kind of trying to figure out what the difference between a book and a novel is, I found that novels are books, but not all books are novels. And then, then my head exploded because I was like, all right, so books aren't, so novels are books, but not, excuse me. So novels are books, but not all books are novels. That's kind of crazy. Then it kind of made me look into, all right, cool. So if novels are books, but not all books are novels, that means that novels come under the heading of books. But then how does that, how comes then, if novels are under the heading of books, then how comes novels aren't books, or some novels aren't books? So that led me down another rabbit hole onto the thought of, all right, cool. So now I understand that some novels, so novels are books, but not all books are novels. I started thinking, all right, cool. So we've got this half thought out thought, half ideaed, half understood a book, what it is. Books are not novels. Well, not all books are novels. But again, I know what the object is. The pages bound together. I know in differentiation between a novel and a book, I know that novels are books, but not all books are novels. But again, I still don't know what a book actually is. So then it led me down this other rabbit hole. All right, cool. So a book is pages bound together, this physical object. Right, I understand that. But when we think about books, we think about different classifications for books. So when did books start having genres? I don't know. I just started thinking, I was like, all right, when did books start having genres? Like, why? Why would, obviously the why would be to differentiate between the different forms of books or the different types of books. And then I stumbled along upon this first idea or this first thought onto where genres came from. I don't think it's like the full thought history. I'm not going to give you the full history. I'm going to give you some of my research. And then on another video, I'm going to go a proper deep dive on genres because I'm super interested. Because it was like super interesting. And like, you know, I started with this point of searching into Google, like, where did genres come from? You know, most questions I was like, why are oranges orange? Anyway, so I'm on this rabbit hole, I'm searching who decided genres, when, why, and I stumble along upon this fact. It says that I think it was Aristotle and Plato. Don't quote me on the Plato side, but I know definitely it was Aristotle. And it said that Aristotle split drama into comedy, tragedy, and satire. And I thought, okay, that's pretty interesting. So we basically got these three different genres from drama, and drama itself is a genre on its own. But then again, like with books, drama has these subheadings or subgenres of comedy, tragedy, satire. You know, books have the same thing. For now, all I know, or all you know, maybe you know more. Probably you know more than me. I don't know. But did you know that novels are books as we proceed? So then, as I was stumbling further down this rabbit hole, I came across the fact that, okay, after Aristotle done his magic trick and he cut drama into three pieces and he was like, nice, we can have three different forms of drama. Then there was the libraries, and the libraries came along and they were like, all right, cool, we're going to start classifying some of these books, but because it wasn't super popular back then when the libraries started doing it, it wasn't widely spread as a thing that they started doing. It wasn't until, I think it said, like the early 1900s when more genres started coming out, like crime, thriller, mystery, fantasy, sci-fi, and it's kind of crazy to think about because most of us have existed in a world where genres just existed. So I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know if anyone else has even questioned it, but I thought, wow, like they didn't always just exist. And it's something that I think that most people maybe take for granted. When something is already just there, you just assume that it's always going to be there. It's the same with people. It's the same with things that break or anything really. You just assume that, oh, this is always going to be here until it's not. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? What am I going to do now? So, but I guess genres isn't a thing where it's so dramatic like that. But at the same time, it's something I hadn't really thought about until I started falling down this rabbit hole of why genres exist. Now, of course, I understand why genres exist, but who invented genres? And who invented what genres? And what led them to invent the genre? So many questions. And then I started wondering more, like, if books can change categories, then what actually makes a book a book? Again, we've only got a definition of an object, we've got definitions surrounding the object or things that are subgenres within it. It's like I've started to tell this story about a book so that I could find out what a book is. And oh my gosh, this kind of leads me on to another thing that I found weird or kind of disconcerting, I guess. So this week I was like scrolling on Instagram, as we do, people do, unless you're not on social media. And in fact, no, that's a lie. If you're here on YouTube watching videos, you're on social media. You may not be like posting or you may not be active on Instagram, but YouTube is still social media too. Anyway, like, I won't go into depth about that. But just saying, you may not be on mainstream socials, but I see you through the camera lens. Anyway, AI. Yeah, I said it. Ow. No, it'd have to be AI. It couldn't be owl because then it would be AL. But anyway, I stumbled on this article or scrolling down Instagram and it said it was just more of this visceral kind of reaction I saw. I saw that it said AI has been reading books, and I said, what? What do you mean AI is reading books? And I was scrolling through this article, and then it comes to this video where like the machine is like cutting off the spines of the books and then keeping the pages. And I'm just there like, what the hell is going on? Like, well, why are they reading? Like, no offense to any AI agents that are out there on the internet watching this video. I don't even know 100% if that's possible, but I know what I've been reading. So, hey, if you AI agents are out there watching me, I see you in it. And yeah, I'm just, I'm just thinking, why are they reading? And it's more like, not why are they reading it. The thing that was really stressing me out from what I was reading about the AIs reading the books is because these AI companies have been buying up like books that are in the public domain or books that are rare and cutting off the spines of these books just so they can keep the pages. And from doing my research, it was like they could do it a slow way where they keep the books intact and they slide the machine in and it scans the pages. But the quickest way for them to get through the maximum amount of books is for them to cut off the spines of the books and then kind of, I guess, go through the pages quickly like that. If you've seen the video, maybe I'll find the video and I'll splice it over me while I'm talking so you can see it too and wince and be like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. Because it is. If you're a book lover and you see it, you're just like, is that what these AIs are doing? And, you know, I understand the tool and all that, but like, what? Ugh. Anyway, and it made me think, okay, cool. AIs are reading the books. The why, once I'd done some more understanding and research, was that they're not reading books in the way that we read books. Like, I was thinking, like, how are they reading? Like, are they reading it like, are they processing the stuff that they're reading? Are they like actually processing the words, or is it just like another process for them, like another data set, like just information? Like when I read, I imagine, I feel, I wonder, I think, I get ideas, I question, I think about things. But if an AI is reading the book, I can't imagine it's doing all those things because it's just a computer. And then it made me think, so if information alone, can information alone explain what a book is? Like, for example, like the fact that AI is reading books or processing the words within them, not even processing, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like they're just reading it like information. And from my deeper research into it, I kind of found out that the reason why these tech companies are getting AI to read books is so that they, not in the same way like how it's it's done with art or music, I would say it's like, I guess maybe there's a layer of it where they could potentially what's the word that I'm looking for? Decontextualize, be able to decontextualize other texts. Maybe there's a possibility. I'm not sure if that's what their aim is, but from what I was reading, I read that the main reason why is so that they can understand how humans communicate. Because a lot of how we talk, it's all, not how we talk, but a lot of how we communicate, a lot of how we tell stories and such is all, what's the word, encapsulated within a book. The reason why I'm able to imagine and feel and wonder, not that an AI is going to ever understand that, but they'll be able to understand the connections a bit better. And I assume that will allow the tool to help us more. Now, I'm not even going to go super in depth into AI or any of that right now. I just thought it was disconcerting that they were cutting off the what are they called? Where's the word? The spine. Cutting off the spines of these books, and they were just scanning the pages, and it's just, yeah, it just gives you that question of, if it's just information to you, or to an AI, or to a computer, then can they get the same, they can't get the same feel that we get from reading a book, which is where we differentiate. And then it made me think of Brunswick Bookshop. Because when I go into the bookshop, I'm never just buying paper bound together. I go in there for the conversations, to receive recommendations, for laughter and seeing different story dealers. Everyone's different, you know? Every story dealer has a different story that they're trying to deal to you. And they have their own stories, you know? And that's where you me, for example, I discover ideas through finding different books, or just looking at a cover, reading a review. And I just walk in there with one question and come out with more questions. Like, I recently went to Brunswick Bookshop, as I do. I think I've said before, it's a weekly occurrence, usually on a Friday, but sometimes, it's on another day, depends on how I feel, or if I want to look at the bookshop. And I went in, and it's funny that I kind of mention recommendations, because when I was interviewing the deputy manager from Brunswick Bookshop, he recommended me an author, and that one of the authors, or he recommended a few authors to me, but one of the authors that he recommended to me was Ursula Guin. And when I went in last Friday, depending on when you watch this, maybe that will mean nothing to you. If you watch this when the video comes out, you'll be like, all right, cool, last Friday, and you'll look at the date and what the date is currently and when you're watching the video. If you watch it any day that week comes out, but if you're watching it like weeks and weeks afterwards, like, you'll be like, last Friday, all right. I just love paradoxes, especially when I'm the one creating them. So I went in to Brunswick Bookshop last Friday and the deputy manager was in there, and I told him that I was looking for a book by Ursula Guin. And he was just like, what you feeling? What mood you in? And I was just like, surprise me. A lot of the time when I'm picking up a book, it's a surprise to me because I'm just drawn to it and I pick it up and I'm just like, oh, what's this? And then if I like it and if I feel the vibe still, then I pick it up and read it. But this was one of those kind of like a blind date with a book. Interesting because Brunswick does blind date with a book. Anyway, so it felt like a blind date with a book where the deputy manager was like going in to the Ursula Guin collection and finding me a book that he thought to recommend me. So the book that he ended up recommending me was The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Guin. Now, I have no idea what this is about. I have not had a chance to read anything on this since I bought this. But now looking at it, I see on the cover, seems interesting. We got the yin and yang sign with, in the white side, I'm not sure what to call it because like the other side's kind of cosmic. So on the white side, we've got like a snowy background with two travelers, someone's pulling a pack, and like, yeah, like you saw on the cover, and it says, winner of Hugo and Nebula Award for Best Novel. And then on the back, what can I read? One of the reviews says, profuse and original, graceful and accomplished. And that is from Michael Moorcock. It says, here's another one from this review is from Science Fiction, The 100 Best Novels. Delicate yet daring, narrated with immersive gravitas. Ursula L. Guin's masterpiece. Well, I am very excited to read it. I'm not going to read too much more on the back of that. Also, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to read more once I get to reading this. Also, while I was in the Brunswick on Friday, I also bought this book called Openings, 13 Stories by Lucy Caldwell. And the reason why I bought this book was it's a collection of short stories. And I've started writing a collection of short stories, but before I put it together properly, I want to read more collections of short stories. Like, so far I've only read 2 collections of short stories. I read The Storm by Akeem, Balogun, and I read, I can't remember the name of this book, but I will have it in my next video once I find it. But basically, it was by, if I remember right, it's by a comedian, and he wrote like kind of short stories or funny short stories in a newspaper. And this is like, the short stories are like, kind of, some of them are based on his life and some of them seem like they're random. But then once you get later into the book or the short stories, or through more short stories, you kind of realize that although those stories were random, they actually have some connection to the main story. And I also read another book like that, which was, it wasn't a collection of short stories, but maybe it was somewhat a collection of short stories actually, but it wasn't, no, it wasn't. It was kind of like set into different chapters, but it had certain chapters where like it seemed hella random and I was like, what is this even about? And then yeah, you get later into the book and you're like, oh my gosh, that random chapter was crazy. It was crazy, but now I understand why it was there. It wasn't there for just being a random side plotted scene or chapter. It actually had connection with the greater story. And again, I can't remember the name of that book, but I will have it in my next video. It's by Keanu Reeves and another author I can't think of the name of, but I know Keanu Reeves was one of them. But yeah, on the back of this book, Openings, 13 Stories, we have a review from the Times that says, witty, shrewd, there are moments of darkness in Openings, but the direction of travel is towards release and acceptance. And here is a review from The Herald, which says, a next level author of short stories, reminding us that the key to fiction is paying attention, more proof that small is beautiful. And yeah, check out the book. And okay, this brings me on to the other book that I bought this week. This book is The Starless Sea. And I actually got this book from Camden Town Bookshop, which is part of the Booksellers Own Trust, which I mentioned in another video. And the main reason why I visited it is because, well, one, I was curious about what it looked like, how it was different from the Brunswick, what it had that was different, like how the books were arranged, what books were there, if they had the same kind of books. And I know they're part of the Booksellers Own Trust. I was kind of talking in this excitedly fast tone. And I know they're all part of the Booksellers Own Trust, which means that, of course, they're going to have an element of all of them being similar. I noticed that they had the blind date with the books there as well, because they're all part of the same thing. Anyway, but I went there because my new work office is kind of about 20 minutes away from Camden Town Bookshop and 20 minutes away from Brunswick Bookshop. So since I'm kind of in the middle between two, I was like, yeah, let me go and check it out. And I really liked the nice... Oh, I really liked the way how it was arranged. I need to visit a few more times so that I can actually have a proper look around, because the main thing that I'm curious to see is like kind of what the differences are between the bookshops, because they're all part of the Booksellers Own Trust, but I'm sure there's attributes that each bookshop has that kind of is their USP kind of thing. Like, if you don't know what USP means, it's unique selling point. So like, I'm sure, and then I can, once I've seen all of the bookshops within the Booksellers Own Trust, then I have things to kind of compare and look at, and I'm like, all right, cool. So Camden Town Bookshop does it like this, and Brunswick does it like this, and House of Books does it like this. And yeah, I'm intrigued to go down that rabbit hole and do all the research and explore these bookshops so I can have a better understanding. And I need to ask more questions and speak to these storytellers. I was halfway between saying booksellers and then halfway between saying story dealers and then book dealers. So let's imagine this was cut out and I was just going again. Story dealers. But let's get on to the book, The Starless Sea. Now, I'm not, oh sorry, it's by Erin Morgenstern. Now, when I picked up the book, the first thing after seeing the cover and reading that it said, A Journey of Wonder and Imagination by Starless, that review, and a unique mind-boggling fantasy from the Times. And I was like, and it said spellbinding from the Mirror, from the Daily Mirror, sorry. And then I got to the cover, and the first sentence on the cover said, "We are all stardust and stories." And that line alone made me stop. I sat there to myself and I thought, what a spellbinding sentence, sorry. Like, just that sentence alone is spellbinding. We are all stardust and stories. And from that sentence, I had to know more. I had to know what that meant. What that meant in connection to this book. I did read a little bit of the blurb and find out more. And that just sold me the book even more. It says, I will read this blurb. It says, when Zachary Rawlings stumbles across a mysterious book containing details from his own life, among its pages, it leads him on a quest unlike any other. Following the clues inside, he is guided to a masquerade ball, a dangerous secret club, and finally to an ancient subterranean library. What Zachary finds in this curious place is more than just a buried home for books and their guardians. It is a place of lost cities and seas, lovers who pass notes across time and and of stories whispered by the dead. But when the library is threatened, Zachary must race through its twisting tunnels and sweetly soaked shores, searching for the end of his story. Wow. I had to have this book. I had to find out more about the books, the book guardians, there's subterranean library. Like, could you imagine, like, you find a book, yeah? You find a book, and this book, you start reading, you're like, oh, this seems cool. This seems like an interesting book. It was called The Chronicles of ... Let's say that, yeah? Or whatever name of this book. In fact, before I go any further, if there was a book that was about your life, what would that book be called? Anyway, so imagine this, right? You find that book, whatever you name that book that's about your life, you find it, you start reading it. When you pick up the cover and you read the cover, you're like, this seems like an interesting book. You see all the reviews and everything by the Times and the Guardian, and I don't know, Rick Rubin's got a review on the front cover. You're like, Rick Rubin, what? And then like Snoop Dogg's got a review on there. There's a review from Ali G. Ali G's on my mind because I keep on seeing those reports online and stuff where he was at Wimbledon and apparently he's making a new Ali G movie or series or whatever. But anyway, Ali G's written a review on the cover. Yeah, and there's bare like just random people, like either from TV, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has a review on the book, on the back cover, and you're like, what is this book? And you're like, who are all these people? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's so disconnected to who you are, and you're thinking like, how, like, there's no way you can think it's connected to you. So you start reading through chapter 1, you start reading about this person that you think to be fictional. You're reading through, and then like there's certain details in the book that you're reading, you're like, hang on, it sounds like it's talking about me. But you don't seem to worry about it. You're like, how could it be talking about me? You read some more, and you're like, hang on, I did this yesterday. Like, there's a lot of things in this book that are like eerily similar to my own life. And then you start reading some more, and then it says your name in the book, and then it says this book is about you, and you're like, oh, I don't even know what this book, how it even the reveal is, but say that's what happens, right? And you're like, oh, okay. Like, and then it sends you down like this whole adventure where you find like a, let's go with an urban library that you find in the forest while you're doing a walk. Say you're walking the dog and you stumble upon this forest, and it's called Urban Forest. Sorry, Urban Library. You're like, oh, what's this place? Stumble along, and then when you're going to the library, you still have that book on you. You put it on the desk, and you're like, oh yeah, we've got bare of these copies in here. This is quite a popular book. I don't know, but just the thought or an idea of coming across a story or a book that you think you're going to be reading a story, you believe it to be a fiction, only to come to find out that that book is your life. What do you do? And it's crazy how one sentence and then the blurb led me down this entire rabbit hole of wondering what this book is about. What story am I about to unfold, or what adventure, or what am I about to experience with this book? And I can't wait to find out, I'm not gonna lie. It might have to be the next book I read after I finish reading Cuddy by Benjamin Myers. Absolutely amazing book though. So this kind of leads me to the definition. Maybe a definition defines an object, and then maybe us as people, we define it differently. And I believe that to be true about a lot of things, like, especially with books. Maybe a book is an object, a story, an experience, a memory. Maybe it's a recommendation. Maybe it starts a conversation or keeps one going. Like, all of these things are wrapped into the pages bound together by a cover. So I'm here at the ending of this video, sat here thinking, still, like I was from the beginning of this video, like, what is a book? Is it just the object? Is it how we define it? Is it the classifications? What is it? Like, I still don't know. Do you know? Do you know what a book is? And I think the most interesting thing is that I was trying to find out what a book is, and I read loads of definitions. I went through I went down loads of rabbit holes only to come out with a story about what a book could be. But still, I don't have a definitive definition of what a book is. Yeah, I can read the definition. It tells me this about an object, but not about the object. And what even is narrative affairs? Like, I know this is at the end of my submission, but like, what is it? Like, are you people? Are you a collective? Does the book doctor and the storyologist work for you, or are you colleagues of the the book doctor and storyologist? Like, how have you always been watching? Why are you always watching? Why have you never been in contact with me? I have so many questions. You watch my videos. I know, you know I have questions. Like, I need a way other than uploading these videos to get in contact with you guys. With all of you guys, I need to know more. Do you guys have like, even have like a brick and mortar office that I can visit? That would be nice. Maybe some tea and cookies and maybe some water. You know, the fancy kind with lemon in it and shit like that. But I'm rambling. I hope this submission gets to you, because this is a real question, a real burning question. We need to know what a book is. Like, and another question, do all you literary professionals just watch my videos and then write notes, and then when I come to the sessions that's how you, I don't even want to think about it really. It's just slightly terrifying. Right. So my ending question is, for you guys watching at home, as well as narrative affairs, what is a book? Or what does a book mean to you? Is it more than a definition? Or do you think that the definition of a book is enough to define what a book is? Yeah. And that's what we're calling the end. So thank you for falling down this rabbit hole with me. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're thinking, or if you weren't thinking about it before, you're wondering now what a book is or what it means to you, and what your definition of a book is. But until we meet in the comments, or in another video, we'll call this the end, and yeah, catch you in a bizzle. Thank you for watching. Bye. Just remember, it's all about the books.